When starting my fountain pen journey, I was so intimidated. I didn't even know which pen to get, where to start, or how it even really worked. Okay, but this pen right here, this is the game changer. This is the one that convinced me and had me loving the fountain pen process. This is the Twsbi 580 Diamond. So let me go ahead and introduce you to her. I've had this pen for about 2 years now, and when I started my fountain pen journey, this is the one that all of my pen friends recommended, the Twsbi brand. I love how much ink it holds, and surprisingly, the nib, it's always like activated. It never skips in my experience. It's always ready to work, to write, and I have no problems getting the ink flow coming out consistently. So this is just my favorite pen. Ever since writing with this Twsbi, I fell in love with fountain pens. I can understand the hype. So with that being said, I did fall down the rabbit hole of fountain pens. I've purchased many other brands. I've used a few other nibs, but I always come back to the Twsbi, and specifically the 580 design, which, it's just a higher end version of the Eco. Now, I'm going to show you a new Twsbi pen that I purchased, and this is the same exact model, but in a different color. So the last one I showed you was their smoky rose, the rose gold. This one is just the clear silver. The reason why I got this was because I feel like it could go with any type of ink. I don't know if you're like me, but I play matchy-matchy. I like to match my inks with my pen. That smoke rose, it always has that black ink in here. But this one, I could use any color I like. And look how beautiful this is. It's just so lovely. I love the weight, the heftiness of this. I always get so many compliments when I use my black one at work. So I have this silver one. I wish it was gold, but the silver, it just looks nice and neutral. I'm going to show you how I ink it up and how easy it is. It's not as intimidating as you think, especially with this type of fountain pen. And I think that's why I keep gravitating towards the Twsbi. It's just so beginner friendly, but it performs very, very well like a high-end fountain pen. In my experience, I feel like it's pretty comparable, if not a little bit better. So you're going to want to find your favorite or your preferred nib size, which is basically like the tip that you like. I have the fine. I like to use the fine nib. I find that it's in that sweet spot. It's not too thick of a line. It's not too thin of a line. But speaking of thick, this 580 that I got in the silver, it is their stub 1.1 nib. I wanted to see if it performed differently, if I would like it better. And we are going to go ahead and put it to the test because I always use my fine point Twsbi. So what is nice and easy about the Twsbi fountain pens, you twist the end right here and you'll see that it uses like this suck mechanism, this vacuum mechanism with their piston filler here, and you just twist it up and then the ink will soak into the body. And the clear body is nice because then you'll see how much ink you have. This is my humble collection of fountain pen inks. Some may think it's a lot, some may think it's nothing at all. To me, I feel like it's enough for now, especially because I only use like a few inks at a time. But the one that I'm going to fill in this is the Sailor. The Sailor Haha. It's a beautiful, it's almost like an iridescent blue, green, more blue color. It's beautiful. And right here, you want to be careful. You want to make sure your ink is on a flat surface so that way it makes the filling process a lot easier. I always put my inks under a plate with some paper towels because I'm always scared that the ink may get onto my table. I don't want any stains. So what you're going to do is twist the ink open, and then the ink comes through the nib. and we're going to go ahead and twist the piston all the way down, and then you just insert the nib into your ink, and then you twist it clockwise, and then you see the ink filling into the body right there. It's nice too, it's fun because you can see how much ink you use, how much you have left before it needs to be changed out, how much you write. I don't have it completely filled up because I know I'm not going to use this blue ink for a while. It's just for the couple of weeks for the month of December, getting into those winter vibes. But I love this pen, you guys. The Twsbi pen, it just writes so smooth. It's the flow. It just makes it so fun as the nib just glides onto the pages. Now, keep in mind, paper does matter, so you want to make sure you get, the right paper or notebook combination. But in my experience, the Twsbi, it writes well on any type of paper that I use. It's really the ink that matters in terms of, the ghosting or bleed through on certain papers or notebooks. Now, what's interesting is this stub nib. Let me know for my regular fountain pen users. I had some experience with it skipping a little bit. Like here, it came out okay, but as I tested out other words on another notebook, I found it didn't flow as smoothly as my fine nib. So I don't know if I need to, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with stub nibs. So the purpose of this video really is to show you the Twsbi brand fountain pen versus the specific nib you see right here. It took me a while to kind of get that activated. But one nib that I am pretty familiar with is the fine, the fine nib. So the stub nib, maybe it's the angle, but nonetheless, the ink is beautiful. You can see more of the ink properties with the stub nib because it's bolder. And this is how I have all of my Twsbis stored on the go because I'm always reaching for them. So I put them in this Galen leather pen case and off to work I go, or just to store it on my desk with my 7Cs notebook that I'm loving. Thanks to you guys, the fountain pen community, recommending and raving about this. So I love this. But for ink, I do like my Cosmo Air. I find that the properties on here, the ink properties show up brighter. They're very vibrant. Look at the Sailor Haha right here. You can see the multicolors. It's like multifaceted. And you don't need a fancy notebook to test out your inks. I just like this one because it's plain. So I'm working with a blank canvas, but I do use my composition notebook. So here it's just a regular Jot brand from the Dollar Tree, and I love how crinkly it sounds when I use it. But I found that the inks show up pretty well on this Jot brand composition notebook for $1, and I really like using this too. So you don't have to use a fancy notebook to start with your fountain pen journey, which has been my experience. Now the pen itself is quite an investment, but it's definitely worth it, because it motivates me to journal more and it motivates me to journal regularly. So thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know which pen has your eye. This is my second favorite besides the smoke rose gold one. I like this one. It's the Twsbi glow dark, the glow green, but I didn't get it because it glows in the dark. I just like that shade of green. And then I have this mini one. This is perfect for traveling. It's more compact. It's not my favorite, but it's Twsbi nonetheless. I love it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what your favorite fountain pens are or what you would recommend for beginners. I always recommend the Twsbi because it is easy to use, easy to start, and it just looks very beautiful. It lasts a long time. It's very durable. You can pretty much, I wouldn't recommend throwing it around, but the 580 body is very sturdy along with the Eco. So these are my top recommendations, especially if you have pen friends in your life that would appreciate this. So thanks again for watching and stay tuned for more.